Hey guys, what's up? Zooch here. This is going to be my round 5 match from this past weekend's ETS tournament. I did not get a chance to record this one. They had asked me to be the featured stream for their stream. Unfortunately, what that meant was that for whatever reason, my cursor was locked on one monitor and all my recording stuff is set up on another monitor. And I was taking too long to begin with, so I didn't want to cause even more issues by, ending my Steam broadcast. Anyway, what I'm going to do is go back and watch the video from the casting's point of view and then give comments on, my hand specifically. And it's sort of a unique thing because I could see my opponent's hand too. If you want, I will link the Twitch stream for this particular match in the description below. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump in. I've muted the casters, by the way. So this hand, I think, is pretty good. I would keep it, even though, yeah, it looks like I do keep it. Even though it has only 2 lands, we basically got 4 lands in this sort of heavy hand. I know what my opponent's playing to. I think last word's probably, both of these big drops are going to be pretty good. Just because they don't have a whole lot of answers to it. All right, my opponent is doing his thing. And here I go. Drawing another land. It was really, really solid. I guess I can't have any music in the background because I don't have a way to do it without their casting voices. So sorry for the silence when I'm not talking. So this is ideal. I've hit a big thing that I can play sort of on the way to these even more bigger drops. I've got a removal spell for anything he plays, and yeah, just everything is going according to plan right now. Even though I can't play Titan on turn 4, which is kind of a shame, I do get to drop it on turn 5, and I've got 6 mana in my hand. Now I've got 7, which means that I'm going to be able to play this 7 drop once the time comes, and presumably this 9 drop. All right, looking at my opponent's hand. All right, there's some technical difficulties happening over on my opponent's side, it looks like. All right, so in the interim, my guy died, I guess. I vanquished it. And I dropped this Brynark because it's a great threat that I just happened to top deck right there. My opponent has so little going on right now. He has all these reactionary cards, but that just don't really matter to me. I mean, they do, but at this particular second, they do not. I dropped my 7th land, and I play the Steward here instead of playing the Shadowlands Feaster. I think, let me put a pause on that. I think the reason was because I wanted to make sure that if he had a Mystic Ascendant in hand, I nabbed it before he could start drawing cards. It also would be nice to like bait out some sort of removal before this 7 drop comes down. I can't say for sure whether this would be correct. I honestly, I want to try sniping something, like killing something when it attacks with this 5/6, but that turned out to be not the case in this game, I think. So I choose the Seraph here because I don't really have an answer to it right away, and he was going to get to 8 mana pretty soon if he played it. I didn't really care about the Desert Marshal, just looking at my hand. All right, I've got 8 mana here, and I don't attack into his Seraph because, like I said, I wanted to see if I could snipe it with my 5/6, or alternatively, I've got this last word coming online next turn that I can just start basically mowing down every single creature he has. He's got it. I know he has Desert Marshal in hand, but like he doesn't have a whole lot of ways to get my guys out of the way. So if I like draw a Sigil next turn and hit his Seraph, like what is he going to do? Nothing, basically. All right. So I don't attack into his guy. He doesn't attack into me, I don't think. Instead, he draws 2 cards. All right. So he passes the turn, I think, because I know I didn't trade. Let's see. And I play the Shadowlands Feaster at the end of his turn. Yeah, so this way I can start attacking him Those are great sabotage off the top. So my thought process here. So when I'm looking at his hand, I know at this point 4 of the 5 cards. I know he's got a Desert Marshal, and then I know the 3 things that I'm looking at. I know the Lightning Strike, I know the Harsh Rule, and I know the Sword of the Sky King. So I think it's pretty obvious that I don't take the Lightning Storm here. It's basically between Harsh Rule and Sword of the Sky King. So on the one hand, if I take the Sword of the Sky King, I take away a huge threat of his, but he just gets to Harsh Rule away, everything away, and then I can't really play this last word because he's got this Desert Marshal that he can just ambush in and kill it. My thought here was the following. So I've got Scorpion Wasp in my hand. If I take Harsh Rule, next turn he's basically priced into playing this Sword of the Sky King. When he does that and tries to kill my Shadowlands Feaster, I can jump my Wasp into play. Then, if I draw either a Sigil, if I draw a Sigil, I can play the last word, kill his blocker, and then kill his sword with both of my guys intact and the last word in play. Like, if that happens, and that feels kind of likely to me, that's just game over right there, because I've got a last word on the board and a 9 powers worth of creature, and he has nothing. If I draw a removal spell, I can do the same thing, although I don't get to drop this last word down. And if I draw a creature, I don't know, it kind of sucks because he could potentially rip another Harsh Rule, and then I'd be in a lot of trouble. So I end up taking the Harsh Rule here after thinking about it for a while, apparently. That's all that stuff I just talked to you about. My dog is outside. It's not happy. All right, so yeah. I take this bad boy. There we go. Attack and then pass turn. On his turn, I think he rightfully doesn't play this because there's no reason to, and plans on just Sword of the Sky King, my guy. And I jump my Wasp out there, my little bug, taking the hit from this slightly larger arachnoid looking thing. And so here, basically, a Sigil puts the game away, a Death Strike or Suffocate puts the game away, and instead I draw a Temple Scribe. Boo, hiss. And I draw a Subvert, and I have 2 great hits and get the Lightning Storm. Bonk. Oh well. Still, I think I attack with the 4/3 here as well. Nope. Okay. Yeah, I think as long as I have this this last word in hand, I just want to like not trade my guy for his guy if I can help it. So unfortunately, yeah, he does get to trade his last or his Sword of Sky King in for my 5/6, which is a real shame. What can you do? There's the Suffocate. If I had drawn that last turn, he would have just been toast. And what do I do here? I keep waiting because, yeah, as long as I have this last word in hand, my guy is infinitely valuable and his guy sucks. All right, that's the 3rd straight turn where I've whiffed on drawing a Sigil. I don't know why I attacked. I think I just got tired of not attacking into his guy. All right, Steward of the Past comes down. Boop. And I know one of the cards in his hand. He rips a Harsh Rule, it looks like. If he Harsh Rules here, oh man, he's tempted. If he Harsh Rules here, that's really bad for me because that means I can't play this last word anymore. Subvert. Subvert to get his Desert Marshal. Oh man, that's some funny stuff. I really should have Desert Marshaled that turn, but I didn't. Maybe my plan was wait till I have a 9th land, but that I didn't even think about silencing my permafrosted unit until this turn. So Because I should have done it at the end of the last turn if that was my plan. Alright, so I don't know any of the cards in his hand, but he rips the harsh roll from a couple turns ago. Boop. So here I just play the last word, even though he could have, you know, a Scorpion Wasp or Desert Marshal in hand. I get lucky that he didn't top deck one over the last 2 turns, but over the last 3 turns, one of his draws was harsh roll, and the other one would have had to have been, you know, something that would have killed it anyway. All right, so at this point in time, he is just playing out guys, but I'm pretty sure he can't win anymore because I don't think he has any way to get rid of my last word. All right, boom. Okay, so I took out a Temple Scribe, took out a Var's Favor, added in a Decay, took out 2 Scorpion Wasps, added in a Death Strike, added in a Shadowlands Feaster. That's what we had going on for us. And added in an Annihilate. So overall, nothing too crazy. I didn't add in the Dark Return, which I don't know if I added in ever, because he had so many silence units, it feels stupid, but maybe I should have. It's a controlled match after all. All right, game number 2 is underway. I think I keep this hand without throwing it back. It seems pretty good. If all else fails, I've got a scheme to find a 4th land or 4th sigil, but we draw one immediately. And his deck is really slow, so I don't care that my deck doesn't start doing anything until turn 4. The echo from his hand let me know that he had a Find the Way. So this might have been a mistake, using the Varus Favor to get rid of the Aegis on him. I've got the Steward, but I think my plan was I wanted to play the Steward of Prophecy before I played anything else, just to get, I don't know, something out of, like, just to see what he was working with. And while I could have played Steward of the Past to get rid of his Aegis, I think I wanted to lead with the 4/3. Okay. And, well, I'll talk about that when we get there. My opponent's just getting a bunch of lands. Good for him. All right, at this point in time, I feel pretty confident in my ability to win the game. I mean, I have nothing but beaters. If I draw more sigils, I've got this Mystic, and I've got a removal spell to clean up whatever nasty he plays. I take the Desert Marshal here because I don't want him... I want him to have as few answers to this Mystic as possible. So if he, like, uses a Vanquish on my Sandstorm Titan, that's great for me. Because Mystic is, I think, one of the ways that I just win this match pretty easily. He only has a finite number of ways that he can deal with it. And Silence is a big one. I mean, I still have a 6/6 at the end of the day, but... Alright. My opponent is getting more mana. He's really thinking about that. There we go. Alright. So... Here, on my turn, I just immediately attack with my guy because I wanted him to think that I had Varus Favor. Like, it's a pretty, easy attack for me. I lose nothing by attacking there. And if he blocks and I have Varus Favor, he kind of gets blown out a little bit. So, I think it was a pretty easy attack on my part. All right, my opponent plays his Throne Warden here. And my turn, I draw Shadowlands Feaster, which is really not really where I wanted to be. This was maybe a suspect play, but I had 2 Death Strikes, and this basically killed 2 creatures and kept my guy alive. So I think that this Death Strike was right, even in retrospect. This Azendel's Gift's pretty brutal, especially since I have 3 Decays in my deck. If I had had a 6th power, I might have even schemed to try to find one of the Decays, even though it would have been sort of a real last-ditch effort. but I didn't, so I play this Stewart. And, you know, I've got him on a pretty quick clock. This is 12 damage right here. If he doesn't, so spoiler alert, he draws a harsh rule off the top. If he doesn't have that harsh rule, what does he do? He plays the Sandstorm Titan and like permafrosts my 3/5. So I guess at that point, I don't know, I've probably still lost the game, but I don't know. All right. Yeah, that was it. I concede basically right here. So go into game number 3. I keep the same board. All right, here's game number 3. I think that's an easy mulligan, by the way. There's nothing in there. Oh, no, I mulliganed into that. Ugh. I remember thinking, this game's over. Looking at that hand. I think my opponent went first every single game this match, which is actually good. I wanted to be on the draw on all of these because in the control mirror, you want to be on the draw. Not that you have the ability to choose in this game, but there you go. All right. So I draw 2 power in a row, which is just the best thing in the whole wide world. Go me. And once I hit 4 mana, I think I'm pretty happy with this deck. So the fact that I drew basically the exact right number of mana is really good. Okay, my opponent he had the option to play Island's Favor or this Find the Way, but he played the 5/6 instead, which is really great for me because that means I can annihilate it and then drop my own guy. And that my Stewart now gets to target something of his. So he only has one target, which is the Throne Warden, which now just conveniently trades with this with my guy with no benefit to him. All right. So we've drawn sigils enough to the point where we haven't missed a land drop yet, or sigil drop, I guess. Nonetheless, I still want more. And so the fact that I nabbed this here, so I'll take a moment to talk about Subvert. So I subvert my opponent there. Normally, I like to wait with Subvert until I'm pretty sure my opponent has no lands left in their hand. I don't want to hit a land with Subvert normally. This case I did. So the fact that I hit a Horu banner is actually pretty good for me. Like, I was very happy to see that because then it gets me to that 7 and 9 mana mark that I need to hit so desperately, just based on the cards in my hand. It would have been nice if I had hit these Find the Ways because then I get 2 copies of it since I'm drawing it. That didn't happen, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I knew that he had 3 Find the Ways in his hand, and so I was actually hoping to get one of them. The fact that I got the land, though, is a nice consolation prize. It is better than this Island's Favor, that's for sure. And in fact, I think I knew that he had this, so I knew 4 of the 6 cards in his hand were good for me. All right, my opponent taps out to play all of his Find the Ways, and I draw a Mystic off the top, which is just bananas because then I just get to start drawing cards. All right. I think I pretty quickly drop that and draw a card. I would rather get a draw from every one of my sigils if I can. Like, I could have just played it and played my Shadowlands Feaster, but I think this was a better play. My opponent has both Harsh Rule and Desert Marshal here, and I guess I know what he did. He played the Desert Marshal, which I think was smart because he could get another guy with this. Right now, the 6/6 is not that big of a deal. And here's the thing. Maybe I should have waited, but he didn't have a kill spell for this, so I don't know. I figured the second Mystic's probably safe. Of course, we know that it's not, but still, I think it was probably smart. Here, my opponent attacks. I know his deck list, so I know that he does not have Archhorn Hammer, so I can block pretty much with impunity. I kind of suss out that he's got a Harshul there. I don't know why he's keeping this Find the Way in his hand. I think that just playing it's probably better because I imagine I would have known that he hadn't cast it yet, so it's not like it's hiding information from me, nor is the fact that there's nothing to put it on top of his deck, I don't think. So casting it just gets a land out of his deck, which is something you want to do in general. Okie dokie. Alright, at the end of his turn, I play this flying 5/6. Kaboom. And I have the opportunity to play multiple dudes here, but I run out the Stewart first to see if he has Scorpion Wasp, which I believe was in his list. The fact that I got this Desert Marshal is great, but I was really doing it before I attacked it to make sure I got a Scorpion Wasp if that was in his hand. So I think about whether I'm going to play the Sandstorm Titan in hand. I think he's played 2 Harsh Rules. Maybe it's just the one, but it felt better to play around the second because, I don't know, he doesn't have a whole lot going on. That's one of the ways he gets back into the deck, it feels, or back into the game, it feels like. I probably should have just played the Scorpion Wasp here since he's at 14 and just started getting in with it, but the fact that I drew these, this second Sandstorm Titan, I think is pretty insane. So we put this pressure on him and say, all right, well, you've used up 2 Harsh Rules at least. Good luck. And he drew 2 Sigils in a row, which is pretty brutal. But I don't know. I think we drew several extra cards in him, I think, this game too. And then just as like the icing on the cake, I've got this last word, pinging him to death. All right. And that should be it. All right, well, that was round number 5. Go ahead and watch round number 6 next.